And we always cover the streaming wars in our show because we think the stream wars is a very important and very big event that's going on right now. And a lot of places aren't giving it that much coverage, although a lot of people are, which is why I'm always able to find articles every week for us to talk about, because there are people that are talking about the streaming wars. So this article here, this is from CNBC. It is dated on Tuesday, January 7th. Megan Graham is the author. It says streaming wars will force media companies to choose between pricey subscriptions and ads. And isn't that what we've been saying? Haven't we talked about this? Isn't that exactly what we were just talking about, like in our prediction show? That absolutely this is what's going to happen, or at least it's going to be part of it. It's going to be a big part of it. So this is the mainstream media echoing our own coverage and our own conclusions. So as key points, according to a survey, 59% of Americans aren't willing to pay more than $20 a month for streaming services, while 75% say they won't pay more than $30. With Netflix charging $13 a month and leading the market with more than 60 million US subscribers, more services are turning to advertisements for revenue. This makes sense. So what they're saying is they've actually gone and done a survey. The industry has done a survey, and they found out most Americans have decided already what their budget's going to be. And we've talked a lot about this in our streaming wars coverage, is price, and how much is price going to influence people's decisions about which streaming services they're going to support. So this survey is saying the majority of people don't want to spend more than $20 a month on their streaming services. Services meaning plural. They don't want to spend more than that. And Netflix is already on the high end at $13 a month. And they are the dominant factor right now in the streaming wars. They have more subscriptions than anybody else. So how much money does that leave left? Not a lot, right? You can squeeze Disney Plus in there, right? You could squeeze, maybe Hulu in there or something like that, but that's about it, right? You can maybe squeeze one more streaming service in there if that's your budget, and you've got Netflix. Right. So, which the majority of them do. I think it's like 60 million people have Netflix. So the article goes on. It says the streaming wars are poised to heat up in a big way in 2020, but that doesn't mean consumers are jazzed to open up their wallets for them. HBO Max is scheduled to launch in May, following the recent debuts of Disney Plus and Apple TV Plus, all with a plan to take on Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime Video in the battle for over-the-top viewers and cord cutters. Based on consumer preferences, it looks like a tough market. And this is the survey they talk about, where basically the majority of Americans are saying we do not want to spend more than $20 a month on our services. And this is something that from the beginning of our streaming wars coverage, I've been harping on, is cost, cost, cost. A lot of these people do not want cable all over again. They are not willing to pay cable prices. That's why they left cable. You know what I mean? Right. So this is let's see, who did the survey here? According to a survey from ad tech company, The Trade Desk, and YouGov, it was published on Monday. And that's the one that says it's 59% of Americans are not willing to pay more than $20 a month for streaming services. Talk a little bit more about those. I wanted to see what they talked a little bit more about the ads. So they talk about here, they have a quote where it says, every survey I've ever seen in the industry shows that consumers hate ads. But consumers hate spending money out of their own pocket more than they hate ads. So when the option comes up, a lot of people will opt for the ad-supported versions. And I actually have gotten to the point where I don't hate ads because I like having free content. We have talked about previously that I recently did the entire Disney Plus package with ESPN Plus and Hulu. And the Hulu version that I get with the Disney Plus bundle is the ad version. And I'm not thrilled about paying for ads. That literally feels like cable again to me, Right. I'm not thrilled with it. I like Hulu's content so far, particularly the anime I've been watching with my kids. I mentioned I'm very disappointed with ESPN Plus. I think their marketing is like garbage. I think they are actually misleading people into what ESPN Plus, even with the app itself, it's messed up. But I do like the content with Hulu, but I don't like paying for ads. I'm at the point now where I'm fine with ads if it's free, and I don't complain about ads if it's free. But if I have to pay for it, that's where I really get on ads. That's where I really don't like ads. And I think you're in the same boat, right? You went ahead and you did the Hulu with ads as well, right?
Well, I didn't. When the subscription came up for renewal, my wife chose to go with the ad version because it was cheaper. I had actually been
Yeah.
paying for the non-ad version, and it's ironic. Like I said, the reason I signed up for Hulu is because I wanted to watch Space 1999. Because for me, the thing that really is driving what services I'm currently subscribed to, for me, it's all content. Content is king with me. It's what I want to watch and what's on there. For example, I'm still working my way through Justified for the third time on Amazon Prime. I really like that show, and I'm enjoying rewatching it, even though I've seen it like twice before. I'm going through the third time. Um, Disney Plus, it's obviously The Mandalorian, although I've seen some fun Clone Wars and a couple of fun Rebels episodes. So I'm thinking about going back in and kind of deep diving on some of those a little bit more than I've had, because I didn't have cable at the time those shows were airing. So I missed a lot of that. And then, of course, with CBS All Access, I have that for Star Trek. I watched Balance for Terror on CBS All Access in preparation for this show. But when I have stuff on when I'm working, I watch a lot of original series Star Trek still to this day. I really like it. I really enjoy the remastered versions with the new computer effects and everything. So for me, it's all about content. When I subscribed to the DC Universe app, the thing I was waiting for was I was waiting for Swamp Thing. So once Swamp Thing went live, I subscribed to the service, and I was on there long enough, to try and make my way all the way through it. Unfortunately, I find with certain things, if it's not holding my attention, I don't like the Friday release schedule. It was just one of those things that's like I was liking Swamp Thing, but I knew Swamp Thing was already canceled. And I was like, so I don't know where this story's going, but it doesn't matter because it's our, you know what I mean? They're not going to be picking it up. They're not continuing it. Swamp Thing is apparently not going to show up in the Crisis event. So I was just sort of like, I don't get the point of this. And I was having issues. I loved the selection of the comics on there, but as I've stated previously, but the problem was the comic viewer, I kept going through pages too fast, and I found it frustrating. And then it was the problems with casting. I couldn't get it to cast easily to my different devices to watch the shows anyway. So it got so frustrating. I got rid of it before I'd even watched all the Swamp Thing episodes. I was just like, who cares? The show's canceled. I'm out. And it's a great show. That's the problem. It's a great show. So for me, content is king. I will apparently pay more than I should if I want to watch what's on there. Part of the reason I have not canceled Netflix yet, because Netflix is the one I keep wanting to get rid of. It's right. The one I've got that really itchy trigger finger to get rid of Netflix. I always log in on my computer here and I sit down and I'm like, Netflix, your day has come. And by the time I get ready to do it, something like Lost in Space Season 2 rolls out and I go, oh yeah, I want to watch that. So Netflix has done a good job of keeping me involved with the content. But the first time they go a little bit too long without something I want to watch, I might pull that trigger. Just saying.
We have a comment that I think they're looking to pay for all the original productions on all the services. And then he also mentions Netflix is losing money right now. And we've talked about that in our coverage, that Netflix is losing money right now because they are focusing on content. They're going into debt, even as much money as they make. Netflix is actually going into debt because they are producing so much content.
Right.
So the comments are right in line with what we've been talking about in our previous coverage and things like that. I did want to mention in this article, because you always got to mention the bias. This is a CNBC article, right? And it closes by saying there is a tremendous opportunity for free ad-based services to thrive. And disclosure at the end, Comcast is the parent company of NBC Universal, which owns CNBC. And we've talked about this. What kind of effect is the Peacock network, going to have on the streaming wars being ad-based? And obviously this article is meant to set that up a lot. But right. It makes some good points, because we've kind of said the same thing. But this is a CNBC article. They are part of Comcast and NBC Universal. So good on them putting that little disclosure on the end, and I want to make sure people understand that too if they're looking at our coverage.
Yeah.
And then I had one more for you. One more article, if I can pull it up here. And this is like just the beginning of this article. This is from the Motley Fool, which they do a lot of like financial news and things like that. Articles written by Pavan Jaraju. I'm sorry, I'm totally butchering his name. This was dated January 5th, 2020. And it says, the streaming wars, is YouTube the sleeping giant? And we have talked about this as well in our coverage of the streaming wars. Netflix is in an interesting position because they are ad-based. And this article also talks about the fact that, well, I'll show you the article. What it says: the streaming wars is YouTube the sleeping giant. The focus of the streaming industry has been all about big names like Disney Plus, Apple Plus, and Netflix. But those who ignore YouTube may be doing so at their own peril. And what this article talks about is that in a lot of ways, not only is it like the fact that YouTube is ad-based, but YouTube has the advantage of people like us, people that aren't costing them any money and are giving them essentially free entertainment for their service. But at the same time, it feels like, and this isn't the article. The article just talks about that and that advantage that Netflix has in terms of, the fact that it says YouTube has an army of content creators. It says far from the bidding wars over high-priced content playing out in the marketplace between Netflix, Disney, Amazon, and others, YouTube is growing thanks to low-cost, user-produced content. Does YouTube understand this? I wonder if YouTube understands this. This is somebody else on the outside talking. It says there are countless YouTube content creators out there with massive subscriber bases turning into channels that cover everything from nursery rhymes and short films to the latest gadget and movie reviews. So it's kind of funny to me because in a lot of ways, I feel like Netflix itself is trying to attract more and more of the big content providers. Like on my YouTube feed, I'm always seeing stuff from Saturday Night Live. I'm always seeing stuff from CNN. I'm always seeing stuff I could care less about. Not that I dislike Saturday Night Live. In fact, I do sometimes watch the Saturday Night Live clips that I see, but I do so less. And the reason I do so less is not because I hate Saturday Night Live, even though a lot of their skits fall flat on me. It's because I'm like, you know what? I'm not on YouTube for this corporate junk. I'm on YouTube to support small content creators that I believe in. People like That Junk Man. People like Analog Toys, people like Retro Blasting, people like Nerdrotic, Doomcock. That's why I'm on YouTube. It's not so I can watch an article from CNN, which I know exactly what their conclusion is going to be. Love it or hate it, you know what their conclusion is always going to be. So I'm not there for that. I'm not there to see Jimmy Fallon. Okay, I don't like Jimmy Fallon. I've never liked Jimmy Fallon, so I don't like his. I don't like his humor. So I don't care about all that corporate junk. But my feed is full of it. Right. My feed is full of that stuff. So yeah, we have a comment. I think they're looking to pay for all the original productions and all the services. Oh, sorry, that was an old comment. I'm sorry. Yeah. But. Yeah, I feel like this guy really knows what he's talking about, and he understands what the strength of YouTube is and how it can really be a true factor and a true winner in the streaming wars. But I kind of wonder if Netflix, I'm kind of wonder if YouTube understands that, if Google understands that, because it seems to me they keep trying to go to this shift. Now, they do have one success, and they talk about big players and big budgets. Cobra Kai is their big success, right? In terms of something with like, quote unquote, big budget, big stars, that kind of thing. Right. And it's been a huge hit. And people really love that show. And I haven't seen all of it, but what I've seen, I have loved what I've seen from Cobra Kai. I think the way they flip the script, everything, the way that they are so respectful of the original characters while at the same time bringing on new characters is that's the way you do it. If you want to revitalize a franchise, you want to reboot a franchise, you want to make a sequel to a franchise, Cobra Kai is a way to do it, in my opinion.
I agree.
But their other sort of produced content has basically fallen flat. It hasn't created the kind of buzz, certainly that that they were hoping for. So their strength is with this army of content creators, people like you and me. That is the strength of YouTube. People like all the YouTubers I just mentioned. That is the strength of YouTube. And if they get away from that, they're just going to be like just every other streaming service. They're going to be competing in the same exact market space with this incredibly saturated market. And then they're going to be a real loser of the streaming wars if they continue down the path they're going. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because I think that is their strength. I think their strength is people, independent content creators is the strength of YouTube. And I think they need to figure that out, and they need to try treating them better.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. And of course, I used to have not a huge, by any stretch of imagination, but I had been slowly building a little bit of a presence on YouTube. I left it because of the whole, the COPPA Enforcement Act or whatever they're getting ready to do, and the fact that they're going to be starting to fine videos. And I couldn't afford to hire an attorney to help me figure out what I needed to do. And I just decided, yeah, isn't that the truth? And I just decided to, leave YouTube, and I was just beginning to build a little bit of an audience. I had posted my first tutorial. It had been on there for a little while, but it had finally caught steam. And I think it had about 6,000 views at the time that I deleted my entire YouTube channel. But I didn't like the idea of creating high quality content that I'm giving to YouTube for free when I felt like they didn't have my back.
Right.
And that's what the warning videos they were putting out felt like, and then when you see the FCC chairman, coming out there and saying they're fish on a barrel, we're coming for them, I just was just like, what, forget this. Just forget it. I still do plan to do more tutorial videos. I've been dragging my feet on it just because of what happened with YouTube. Myself, as well as other members of the of NASCA, the Northern Arizona Cartoonists Association, we put in a lot of time and effort, building that small following that we had. And I mean, we had 149 videos on YouTube. That's a decent little bit of content.
Yeah.
All genre based. Some of it kind of just outright silly and fun, like our review of Darkman, versus really serious, deep dive, interesting discussions. Now, some of these videos, if you're watching right now and you're watching on Facebook, obviously, I don't know if you know this or not, dear valued viewer, but you can watch some of these videos actually on the In the Studio, the Retro Retrospective Facebook page. A lot of those videos are still there. I still have 4 episodes that are still in production. I haven't finished them just because when I left YouTube, I just was really questioning everything I was doing. I am going to finish them, and they are going to be live here on the Facebook page. And I do have a couple of them currently sitting on Vimeo, and was in the process of actually moving the show to Vimeo. And I am still seriously considering just moving the whole show to Vimeo. But there's a lot of editing I have to do now because of everything that's happened. I have to put the disclaimer on the front end. I think I might try and rebrand them with the Retro Rogues now, and just make them a Retro Rogues, NASCA co-production type thing, which you and I need to discuss that at some point. But, it just left a bad taste in my mouth. And because that's what I was going to YouTube for the John Campea show. I like the John Campea show. I haven't watched the John Campea show now in so long. And that was a lot of times how I got a lot of my early movie news. I liked Robert Meyer Burnett's Observation show. I really liked Retro Blasting. There were a lot of shows on YouTube, but when I left YouTube, I left YouTube. I literally just washed my hands of the whole thing. I haven't even watched any of our episodes, so I need to. My apologies. The whole thing just really, I couldn't believe, what happened. And it's interesting. I'm seeing more and more coverage kind of here and there. People are beginning to talk about it more and more in the mainstream media. But I think the damage is done. I think for a lot of us, I think the damage is done. And, it always goes back to that old adage, never have all your eggs in the same basket, and one of the things I like that we're doing here with the live stream, which the live stream show was your idea. One of the things I like that we're doing here is that we're having this go across on multiple platforms. There's lots of different ways you can watch the show. We're not limited to one. So if one platform goes down, you can go to the other one, watch it there. Once a new one emerges, we'll migrate over there too.
And along those lines, we are on Twitch. I forgot to announce that at the beginning of the show. The Twitch feed is up. So we are on Twitch right now. So
very cool.
We're on Twitch. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
Well, there you go. That's really cool. So, yeah. And I agree with you. I think the strength, as well as the article, points out, I think the strength of YouTube is the, independent content creators. Whether someone putting together, an animation as a test reel or a demo reel, or someone trying to produce their own limited cartoon or web series, all of that stuff is valuable. It's important. And I love independent content. Independent content is where new ideas come from. We've talked about how some of these bigger productions seem to be taking a lot of those ideas, whether intentionally or unintentionally anyway. So, there's something to be said for a lot of that. But but at the same point, I do feel like, YouTube, I think they did kind of stab some of us in the back. That's my own personal opinion. That's how I feel. Rightly or wrongly, that's how I felt. And that's why I shut the channel down in the middle of the night. I just got so angry. I was just like, you know what, I'm done.
But I like this this particular article and the author of it, because he basically was saying that the strength of YouTube is the independent content creators. That's how they can really win the streaming wars or be a major player in the streaming wars, not continuing this corporate path that they seem to be on right now.
Right, and so, I do hope that YouTube realizes that soon, because I noticed I was skimming the article while you were kind of scrolling through it, and one of the things I noticed is they had a big thing that YouTube was excited that they bought Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest, and all I can think of is like, whatever, I mean,
exactly.
I know there's people that's going to watch that, but it's like Dick Clark's gone. Okay. I know he still has a production company, and there's people that probably still work there. I'm glad that you're still going strong. Good you. But it just, the whole idea, it's like it's a gentleman with a brand that's outlived the person who created it. And then Ryan Seacrest is tacked onto it. He's got his own brand. I know he's popular. A lot of people like him. But to me, that's the complete...
I think we lost the feed for a second there. When you were making your point, you said you basically were saying with the Dick Clark Rockin' Eve, it's what now? We lost the feed for a second.
I just said that with that, it is a brand that's outlived its original creator.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have another person who has a profitable brand. I know a lot of people like Ryan Seacrest. I'm not a huge fan, but good on him for making a good living. But at the same point, when I look at it, it's like I just wish that YouTube would put more effort behind those independent. Maybe split it up. Maybe do 50-50 between these big corporate initiatives and 50% with your independent content creators in terms of pushing them forward. Or here's a shocker, at least do 25-75. Like, I don't know, like a little bit more. I don't know. I feel like that is the strength of YouTube, and that's what YouTube is built on. And it is built on those shows like you were talking about, like Junkman, like Retro Blasting, like the John Campea show.
It's called YouTube. It's YouTube. The old tagline used to be broadcast yourself. YouTube, so.
Right. Slowly becoming corporate tube. Or is that corporate lube?
Yeah. No, you're right. That's right. And anyway, I do applaud the person who wrote this article, and I think that he kind of gets it, and is trying to kind of show a path that where the YouTube can be successful and can be this wonderful creative platform for people.
Right.
Hopefully it'll get back to that. I don't know if it will. Like you said, we're not putting all our eggs in one basket. The comments we're getting are from Twitter. So, not from YouTube. So, we're not putting all our eggs in one basket. So we'll just keep doing what we're doing,
And it's interesting because most of our comments prior to that have actually been coming from Facebook. So there's something to be said for that. So
Exactly. All right.